It's doing that test.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. But is that after you did the refresh?
Yeah. Oh, God.
Okay, so. Okay, well now we gotta wait until that starts. And this always happens this time because everybody's trying to log in.
I mean, was it something I did?
No,
I didn't.
it's not.
I'm sorry, I didn't do the refresh, but it wasn't. I mean,
Oh, did you hit the start?
I hit the start, yeah. And then I got the circles going.
Hit the refresh again. Refresh.
So how long does this test take?
I don't know. The thing is, this is the problem because everybody's logging in right now, and that's what's blocking.
That's what does it.
Yep.
So
we just gotta
tell them to start. I mean,
yeah, I guess yeah.
Well, I'm recording on here, so
yeah. And here the streamers, like you see, it's active. We're now just waiting for YouTube to broadcast.
Oh, it's the broadcasting, so they can start.
Yeah, they can start.
Okay, so once that test starting stops, hit start.
Hit start, yep.
Okay.
But you might have to keep trying to see. Refresh. Yeah, this is so dumb.
Okay. You can start. Okay.
Good morning. We will bring the public meeting for July 24th, 2018 to order. And let's see. To my right is Ron Carl, County Attorney. To my right is Jolene Sanchez, Assistant Clerk to the Board. Gail Sanchez.
Gail Stumpo.
I'm sorry, Gail Stumpo. Sorry, simply reading what's here, but it's incorrect. Gail Stumpo, Assistant Clerk to the Board, and to my left is Ron Carl, County Attorney. Ms. Stumpo, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Jackson.
Here.
Commissioner Holland.
Here.
Commissioner Sharp.
Here.
Commissioner Conti.
Good morning, and I will, for the record, mention that Commissioner Baker is absent and excused. Mr. Holland, would you be kind enough to lead us in the pledge this morning?
Join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Carl, are there any modifications to the agenda this morning?
There are no modifications to the agenda.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda as stated?
So moved.
Second.
Motion moved by Commissioner Holland, seconded by Commissioner Sharp. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That motion is adopted. That brings us to our citizen comment period. This is a time that citizens have the opportunity to speak to the commissioners on non-agenda items. There is a 3-minute time limit per person unless otherwise noted. Is there anyone here that wishes to address the board on anything that is not printed in the agenda? Then I will close the public comment period. Our minutes that we have to approved today would be from June 19th. We did have a full board. Do I have a motion on that?
So moved.
Motioned by Commissioner Sharp, seconded by Commissioner Holland. All in favor?
Aye.
Now we come to the consent agenda. It has been mentioned that there are no modifications to that. Therefore, I will entertain a motion. Motion made by Commissioner Holland and seconded by Commissioner Jackson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That takes us down to We do have one general business item today. LE 18005, Byers Park and Recreation District water fee waiver request. Mr. Hill, would you set the foundation for us, please?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. This fee waiver request is being brought by Byers Park and Recreation District. There's no specific noticing requirements for this. The board has jurisdiction to proceed. I would like to correct one thing. I believe it's on your draft motions, it's correct, but on the board summary report, the case number should be LE 18-001 as opposed to 005.
Thank you for that notice, and I will certainly make the change. Our presenting attorney, is Ms. Kathleen Hammer from our Public Works Department. Good morning, Ms. Hammer.
Good morning, Commissioners. Like I said, I am here to present case number LE 18-001, Byers Park and Recreation District fee waiver request. Melissa Kendrick, on behalf of the Byers Park and Recreation District, has requested a fee waiver for a location and extent application for a proposed Byers Community Park project. The proposed park also requires a final plat and subdivision exemption. The Byers Community Park is a 1.5-acre park located on Front Street and Feltzer Street in Byers. It is an existing park that the district plans on renovating to increase its usability, modernize the facilities, and expand the programming. The site plan developed by the district board and vetted through the community includes several important features, including a new playground area with surfacing, a new turf area, swing set, basketball court, 2 picnic pavilions, and 2 parking spaces. The applicant is requesting a fee reduction amount of $5,200 because the improvements are funded with public money from the Byers Park and Recreation District and Arapahoe County grant funds. The applicant has requested the planning fees be reduced by $3,000 and the engineering fees be reduced by $2,200 for a total reduction of $5,200. The planning and engineering fee schedules are designed to cover the cost of staff review for various project types. Planning and engineering staff expect the typical amount of work on this location and extent review and therefore recommend denial of the fee waiver. I stand for any questions. The applicant, Rita Davis, from Byers Park and Rec District, is also here to speak.
Commissioner Commissioner Jackson. Sorry.
I've been called Chuck before.
My apologies.
It's no problem. No worries, Kelly. It's okay. Anyway, yeah, I just want to get this on the record. I know it was in the BSR, but I want to make it real clear. So this is not, when we get applications from other parks and rec districts, when we do projects with other public entities, we don't, as a rule, waive these fees. It's our policy that development of whether public or private or a public-private partnership pays its way in terms of our fees. Is that, just to be real clear, is that correct?
Yes, historically that is the route the planning staff has taken as well as engineering staff, that we typically do not waive the fees unless there's special circumstances.
And can you just kind of run through what those special circumstances might be?
I would call on Jason Reynolds to maybe speak to some of those in the past, since I've only been here for about 6 months and have not been put in a situation for a fee waiver reduction.
Yeah, and I would also. Okay, and I would also be interested to know if there's any historical precedence for this happening.
As far as reducing the fee?
Right.
Again, I will call on Jason Reynolds and get back to you with that information.
Okay.
Would you like to hear from the applicant?
Sure. In the meantime, absolutely. I did too.
Good morning. I'm Rita Davis with Byers Park and Rec. Thank you for.
Good morning, Ms. Davis. Yeah, if you could pull that down. So tall. I know. Go ahead and pull that down, and if you could give us your name and address for the record.
Thank you. Rita Davis, 431 South County Road 173, Byers, Colorado. I want to thank you for the opportunity to come and present this and talk with you, and also for approving the next grant cycle that was on the consent agenda. So we basically have encountered some additional costs associated with the fee situation. We were unaware of a subdivision exemption that was required that kind of came up as we were going through the L&E process. So that was, to me, an extenuating circumstance, and that is part of why we're requesting the fee reduction.
Okay. Would there be any questions from the board for Ms. Davis? Commissioner Sharp.
Do you feel like that there was, usually with a fee reduction, it wouldn't be, as we heard, less work, or, that kind of, something was sort of simplified so it didn't create as much work for staff? Was there anything that came up like that?
No, this probably created more work, if I can be really honest, because it was a whole nother process that then we had to go through and start, and on our side of the fence, so to speak, we had to have the civil engineer and the architect and those folks put more time and more expense and that kind of thing for the review, in order to get the documents prepared for the review. So we were just getting ready to submit for our second review to hopefully get that approved.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
While Jason is looking up some past cases, I think just from my recollection, recent fee waivers that the board has entertained involved the subdivision process where some lots had been illegally subdivided, and the current owners had really no involvement in that. They were just kind of surprised to find that, gee, we can't get a building permit to do whatever it is they wanted to do, and without correcting the subdivision problem. So I know there's at least two of those circumstances that I can think of that the board in the past has waived the fees, or at least in a proportionate amount.
Right. And just to note that my question was specifically with regards to other governmental entities, and in something that would be similar to this situation. Is there any precedence, not overarching, for the Public Works Department?
Certainly. Jason Reynolds with Planning. In 2015, the board granted a fee waiver for a subdivision exemption for a metropolitan district in the Arapahoe Lakes area. That was a waiver of about $3,500 in fees for a metropolitan district, and the justification that the Metropolitan District Board presented was they're a small district, and coming up with the fees in addition to paying for the proposed improvements was difficult for the Metro District to do without affecting the taxpayers in the Arapahoe Lakes area. Another fee waiver request was from 2013. Southeast Metro Stormwater Authority requested a significant waiver of fees for location and extent and for, I believe, their office building facility. However, the record here doesn't indicate whether the board approved their request for $20,000 in fee reduction that I've found so far. But the one probably most analogous is the Arapahoe Lakes Metropolitan District request from 2015.
Commissioner Sharp.
So were there circumstances in the same question that I asked where not as much work had to be done, or anything provided was, I don't know how to really talk about it, but anything easier to process or faster to process that required less time for county staff on that particular one?
Well, the staff recommendation in that case was for denial of the fee waiver because
Right.
it was fairly typical, and actually the legal descriptions involved in that particular subdivision exemption were fairly complicated and would have required a lot of staff analysis. Just FYI, this applicant has not yet submitted their application, but when it does come in, it's going to require at least the same amount of work. However, the board did grant a fee waiver in that case.
Okay. And remind me again how much we waived on that one?
I think it was $3,500, but I can double check.
Out of a total of? Really putting you on the spot here.
Yeah, I'll have to look that one up in a minute.
Okay.
Commissioner Jackson.
So would you say, in general, it's rare that we do grant a fee waiver, and it is not usually just based on the criteria of a public entity that we have this arrangement with, or that the proposed project that's not one of the criteria that we have used.
Right. It seems to be, sort of case by case.
Yeah.
The circumstances of the district that's making the request, as in the case of the Arapahoe Lakes, it's a fairly small district. In the case of Southeast Metro Stormwater Authority, I haven't found out whether the board granted them that one. That's a fairly large district. However, the fees in that case were also very large.
Yeah, it just seems that one way or the other, the taxpayers are going to have to cover it. They either have to make up through Arapahoe County taxes the difference, or the folks who will benefit from the project, or who will actually pay for it. So it's one way or the other. The money will be spent. It's just a matter of which public pocket it comes out of.
Right, and I think to that point, in this case, the buyer's district operates in the buyer's area, and
right.
So this would be transferring a little bit of that burden, and from just purely the buyer's area to the taxpayers at large.
At large, yeah, to the whole county.
The Arapahoe Lakes fee waiver request for the subdivision exemption on October 18th, 2016, the board approved a fee waiver of $2,000 out of the total $3,500 fee for the subdivision exemption.
Okay. And is it the opinion of the planning department or the knowledge of the planning department that there would be any other way that the city buyers would have to, cover these additional expenses that they've kind of been hit with, that have kind of complicated the waters to, burden them to make them ask for this? Or should they have maybe gone back to the developer and asked, informed him that what he was asking for or she was asking for was going to increase their fees and therefore ask the developer to cover this? Or
this is a piece of property that the district acquired from the railroad, which had never been platted, and so as we did our research during the pre-submittal, discovered it hadn't been platted. It was created after that 1972 cutoff date, and so it required a subdivision exemption. This is not associated with any particular development project. It's the Parks and Rec District, attempting to improve a park near the center of town, just general parks improvement project for the community.
Okay. Thank you for that. Any other questions? Okay.
I would like to have, before there's a motion, to ask for a little bit of discussion on this before we have a motion, so that we can kind of have that thought rather than do the commissioners feel like we want to have, I'm just going to say, I think waiving the entire requested fee is too much. But I'm not sure, I'm uncomfortable with, as Commissioner Jackson has said, there is time associated with it. And so I think we have to make sure that the county is appropriately compensated for the work that our staff has to do on all of this work. So I don't know, Commissioner Jackson.
Yes.
You have a
Commissioner Jackson?
Yeah, I have the same feeling here. But on the other hand, I do understand that Byers is a community that doesn't have a lot of excess funds and wants to beautify their area, and I totally get that and support it. I wonder if we could give them a small, maybe $1,000 off of each piece, so that would be a $2,000 waiver. I know it's not what they asked for, but would be something. I don't know whether the board would accept that kind of motion or amendment, or if you have other ideas.
Commissioner Sharp?
I would be happy to entertain that. I do want to help you all, and I know we try to do what we can, and I think it's important to get open space grants, and we want, to support you, and so I would be supportive of that as well, and taking that consideration.
Commissioner Holland?
Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion that reflects the general consensus of the board here. In the case of LE 18-001, Byers Park and Recreation District request for a waiver of fees for a location and extent application and related planning and engineering review fees, I move that the waiver of $2,000 outlined as an amendment to the initial board summary report be granted, dated July 24th, 2018, in the amount of $2,000.
I'll second.
It was moved by Commissioner Holland and seconded by Commissioner Jackson. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you, board. Final note on our agenda today is any commissioner comments? Commissioner Jackson.
I would like to wish Commissioner Sharp a very, very happy birthday.
Thank you so much for that, Commissioner Holland.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Many of the members of this board attended the ceremony, ribbon-cutting ceremony, for the opening and soon opening to the public of the Veterans Administration Medical Center in Aurora. This facility will be the newest and probably largest VA medical center in the country. It will serve nearly 25,000 veterans within the region of the VA healthcare region, and it's a beautiful facility. And for many of us veterans, we've worked on this project for well over 15 years to get it accomplished. And last Saturday, the ribbons were cut, and soon thousands of veterans
including the building and addition of a spinal cord injury center, which will be the technological and medical marvel in the VA system, will be able to take patients. So I just want to congratulate my fellow commissioners, our congressional delegation, and the veterans of this state who fought very hard for this brand new technologically advanced hospital.
Thank you, Commissioner Holland, for those words. Yes, I too was at the ribbon cutting and had an interesting conversation with one of the doctors there at the facility, and he commented to me that when they had the groundbreaking, he was hoping that he could do his first heart transplant in the new hospital, and as the time rolled on, he hoped that he would be able to do a final procedure before he retired. So it was obviously a long time coming, and something that is obviously very well deserved for our veteran community. So thank you so much. We'll call closed our public hearing for today.
Thank you.